On and joining me now to talk about the latest, columnist for the Fiscal Times, columnist Liz Peek, Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union. Good to have you both with us, and thanks for being with us. Let me start, Liz, with you. This is a remarkable event today. The city is filled with a sense of change, I believe. There is, when you look at the national media, you would think there was a great battle raging between the left and the right, and there is, but it's down that way and then toward the Capitol. And nearly every other quarter of the city, there's an expectation of something much better ahead.
Yeah, there's no question. It's a tremendously exciting atmosphere. I went to the mall this afternoon and watched some of the welcome ceremony, which people were so excited to be there. Literally, a picture of Donald Trump would show up, and they were all on their feet screaming and yelling. It's very exciting. And I think the flip side is it's a moment of seriousness, and people are, I think, very interested to see what Donald Trump can do. This is a real change in the given order of politics in America, and I think, it's pretty fascinating. I was thinking today, looking back, the first cabinet, after all, was not so dissimilar from what we have now, right? People of distinction, people who had become very successful. Exactly. And all we hear from the Democrats is how terrible all that is. It's like being a billionaire is like a disease you hope you don't catch. It's really kind of amazing. I know, I wouldn't mind, right? Yeah. Exactly.
Nor would just about every American. It is the stuff of which the American dream was constructed. That is the opportunity to hit it big, to provide at the very least for children who will have better lives. Under this administration that concludes at noon tomorrow, the Obama administration, that dream has been lost for so many millions of Americans, Matt. And there is the expectancy on the part of this president-elect that he will be able, and as he importantly says, we together will be able to make America great again. This, after hearing in his last official news conference, the president, Mr. Obama, again, first-person references 40 times. It's extraordinary. And Mr. Trump talking in terms of all of us. He is so inclusive in his language and his policies. It's a remarkable change, and I understand this is the honeymoon moment, if there ever were one, for Donald Trump as he prepares to take the oath of office.
Lou, I think it's appropriate that you're down in Washington for this event. I just think it's wonderful, and I think it's just delicious that we're at the top of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I just had to say it one more time for your viewers. Maybe that says it all, that things are changing.
But we care about commerce.
Matt is referring to the Chamber of Commerce and the Business Roundtable, with whom I've had over the course of the last decade and a half considerable discussions about and arguments about the proper role and the responsible role for corporate America, and the responsibility to protect and to actually propel our middle class and all who aspire to it. Well, and Tom Donahue, who runs this place, being very generous to allow me even in the building. And to all of our faithful viewers, I just want to say I'm wearing my credentials tonight to reassure everyone I'm not welcomed quite in the nation's capital yet. Here in the swamp, I still need credentials to get in, and may it always be so, at least for me.
That's right. I think, look, everything is being questioned. And what I love about this cabinet that you referred to is that not just Donald Trump, but many of the people he picked in their confirmation hearings and just generally, there are these very fundamental and basic questions which people like me who are political junkies, a lot of people are cynical and saying, why are they asking such basic questions? You know why? Because we've lost our way in almost every conceivable topic. And so if people are asking big questions about, hey, what's the federal government's role in this or that? I love it, and it's long overdue.
I agree.
And overdue, and there was a complete misreading by the Republicans as well as the Democrats in the election of 2016. Most of the Republican orthodoxy and elites were talking about, well, the Republicans had better be embracing illegal immigration. They better get behind free trade at any cost. They better understand that this is a year in which you've got to be a sensitive, caring, rope-a-dope phony is basically what they were calling for. And this becomes the year of Donald Trump. If you're talking about delicious irony,
Right.
that is a wonderful irony, and it's one that Donald Trump exposed and changed the calculus for the next, at least, I believe, the next decade.
I think that's totally true. Can you imagine what the conversation is like in Davos? I keep trying to think about
well,
all the people there.
It's going to be boring, I'll tell you that.
It is, but the topics are things like, you know, how did this happen? And I don't think they have anyone there who actually was involved in its happening. They're trying to interpret.
Are there any deplorables at Davos?
I don't think so. I mean, it really is kind of comical, right? They are completely opposed to everything that's going on.
You know, Anthony Scaramucci, I happened to run into him, who is one of the senior advisors to Donald Trump. He was in Davos, met Corelli, the Russian sovereign fund manager. And because of their meeting, immediately the left decided that this was a violation of sanctions against Russia to even have a discussion that may not have amounted to much more than "How are you? I'm fine. How are you, Dmitry?" To quote Dr. Strangelove, one of my favorite movies, in which the president and the premier of the Soviet Union then go about asking each other how they are. I digress, no question about that. But going after Scaramucci because he did this. I mean,
this is hypocrisy.
And I asked Anthony his reaction, and he said, you know, this is the real swap here, is that this kind of venal, and these are my words, not his, but this venal, mendacious exploitation of a moment for pure ideological and partisan purposes on the part of the left is reprehensible. Yet it persists, and it is an important part of the swamp that's got to be drained.
You can see it, because look at the optimism now rising about business sentiment and consumer sentiment and all that stuff, hitting 9-year, 10-year highs, and yet Donald Trump's personal ratings are not very good. Why? Because the media has given up on this daily assault on everything.
Look, I've been following politics a long time. Those polls on personal characteristics don't matter. You know what's off the charts? 66%? Donald Trump's approach on the issues.
Yeah.
If he sticks to what he's going to do on the issues, it'll work. In the latest Gallup poll,
it's remarkable to see his improvement in each of those elements. And you're right. And I think we should remind everyone, remember, these polls are the same pollsters who were polling into November 8th, and they were dead wrong. They haven't improved that much in this short time, I'm sorry to report. But I do think it's important to note. We're going to talk a little bit more about fake news, but we got to run. Great to see you, Liz. Thanks so much. Matt, thank you. All the best. Happy inaugural.
Yes,
good to have you here.